Previously, you've been introduced to the video that explains what we call the two-part brain, the 5 keys to the language of recovery, and then healing together, how couples are using this information to heal together. As was mentioned in the last video on healing together, we have learned in the addiction field that the addiction is chronic by nature, meaning that it's an ongoing process. There's a certain part of the brain in the limbic system called the hippocampus that is mainly involved in memory. That means it retains memories of all the experiences that we have that are pleasurable through life. And it has a tendency, if we are not constantly aware on a consistent basis of where our thoughts are and our emotions are and how we're doing, to revert back to the natural tendency to just respond instinctively, to avoid pain and seek instant gratification. So the ongoing nature and support that is necessary is what we have tried to put together through this process, and what we have seen be extremely effective for individuals. Our goal is to reach out and help individuals around the world that are struggling with these issues. The online 30-day course, we've had that up now for approximately a little over a year and a half. And so we have a core group of individuals that have become committed to that process, to where there's a daily support group where you can get on and talk about what's going on in your life. And this core group has shown us the effectiveness of this process. Read some of their testimonies on the website of those who have actually done this and how they are forming a core brotherhood, in a sense, to seek support, and spouses and partners can do the same thing. But one individual that I want to talk about, as I reflect on his story, came to see me about 4 years ago. He had struggled with pornography addiction for approximately 20 years before, constantly seeking help through that 20-year period of time, to the point where he had completely given up. He had been to other therapists, he's tried the 12-step groups before, and he just had reached a conclusion that absolutely nothing was going to work for him. He was looking at pornography and acting out physically 2 to 3 times per week, and that had been going on for years. When he was first introduced to the concept of the two-part brain, it absolutely floored him. He says, "Why haven't I heard this before? This makes more sense to me than anything I've ever heard. And I now understand why it is pervasive and chronic, and it doesn't tend to go away. It always comes back. Even after I have a great week or 2 weeks, it has a tendency to come back." That's that understanding of the two-part brain is absolutely foundational for recovery. And that leads us to the first key in the language of recovery in him, where he was able to completely acknowledge that and quit fighting that. And that's the second key, where it talks about surrender. You just got to surrender to the reality that it is what it is. And it's not moral, it's not rational. The limbic system simply seeks instant gratification. We're all dealing with that every day in every aspect, with what we eat, how long we sleep, all of those types of things. But with an addiction, it just is many times more powerful, just because of the dopamine reward system and the chemicals that are released in the brain. But this individual got this concept. He acknowledged it for the first time in his life. Oh, there it is. And I now understand that I'm not crazy, that I'm not a bad person, just that it is just going to do what it is going to do. And so when he would recognize the addictive voice, he would sit there, it is. Of course my limbic system would want to go do that. Then he would surrender to that, in not feeling bad about that, not feeling guilty about the trigger, which is very difficult to change because most people feel guilty that they even have a trigger. That only makes it more powerful. The surrender is you turn that over, you let it go. It's not the issue at all. The awareness is that you're completely mindful or aware where you're at in the present moment. And he began the process of learning to do that, and through the initial stages of therapy, when he would have a slip, we would rewind the tape, and I would ask him the question, what was going on 2 minutes before the slip, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, and so forth. And that questioning got him to become more aware of the very first trigger that popped into his mind. Now, 4 years later, when he has a slip, he is talking to me. And when I talk to him every 3 months, he says, yeah, I had a couple of slips. I allowed the thought to linger for 10, 15 seconds. But he has had no physical slips with actually looking at pornography or masturbation in over 2 years. And there's other cases that are similar to that. As he has learned the keys of the language of recovery and incorporated them into his life, and the fourth key, mindfulness, is that he practices his meditation on a consistent basis. That means that when he gets up in the morning, he has a 15-minute period of time where he simply practices the meditation that is explained in the 30-day program. It's a very powerful, proactive form of meditation that's life-changing if a person will do it. The greatest challenge that I have seen as a clinician in this work for the past 20 years is for individuals to actually do what they say they're going to do in therapy and follow through with their assignments. And so that's my goal when an individual comes to meet with me, is to teach them to do that, to try to hold them accountable. And if it didn't work and they weren't able to keep their goals for the week, what went on with that? What do you think got in the way? Asking those questions helps them become more aware of really what's been going on. And then the fifth and final key is critical, that an individual just have faith or a belief that they truly can get better. Every individual is responsible for their own healing to a large extent. Yes, there can be support and help, and there must be education, which the 30-day course offers. What we have packaged here, from everything that I understand in this field, as I've mentioned, I've been in this field for a long time, and I've taken bits and pieces of something called motivational interviewing, cognitive behavioral therapy, mindfulness and awareness therapy, emotionally focused therapy, little bits and pieces of why at the core of who we are, we do what we do, because we seek intimacy at every stage of our life as urgently as we seek food and drink. It's kind of a genetically built-in drive, a survival drive, that is so easily exploited with sexuality and pornography. Those people who struggle with this issue are not bad people. They're just trying to connect. They're trying to feel loved and trying to feel needed. And what this process will do for you, if you are willing to be committed to it, it will teach you at the very core of who you are, why you do the things you do, what attachment is all about, what this addiction is trying to give to you or to your loved one. And it's an illusion. It never lasts. And so, as we've said many times, one time is too many and 1,000 never enough. And when an individual actually gets that, that's when their life begins to change, because they know at the core, deep down inside, that it will never ever work. And so now you have an opportunity. Get this material in a way that's never been packaged before. There's also the group that every single day you can get on 2 or 3 times a day, 5 times a day if you want, and talk about your process. And those individuals that have been doing that for the past 1.5 years since we've started the online opportunity, you read the testimonials. We've asked them if they would mind giving some testimonials of their experiences, and they said we would be more than willing to do that. And they will be listed for you to read, and I would encourage you to read them, to the value of this opportunity for you will be open at specific periods of time to make a commitment to do the online course, to do the assignments, not just talk about doing them, but doing them. And as you do that, I can promise you that you will get better. Perhaps that's not perfection. That will come in a long time. But you will get better and better and better as you kind of let this material and the 5 keys to the language of recovery become literally a part of who you are. And those who have done it are getting better and their lives are changing. And again, I encourage you to read your testimonials, and I look forward to working with you who will be interested in doing this and making the commitment to do it. We'll offer a 30-day money-back guarantee. If for any reason you feel this course isn't for you within the first 30 days, you can let us know and we will refund your money, no questions asked. Also, be aware that there will be a limited period of time in which you can purchase this program, because we've got to be able to service those that have been committed to it and have signed up, and there's a certain amount of slots in order to do that.